Hey everyone, today I want to share a passive technique that I've been using to help improve my solving times by getting better at Lookahead. So if you're new to this channel, my name's James. I've been cubing for around about 14 years now. And aside from that, I'm also a movement coach, and my job is to improve people's physical performance in whatever it is they're doing in life with movement. And that's what I want to bring to the speed cubing world. Rather than looking at different skills and new techniques, I want to actually look at how to physically prepare the mind and body to get better at cubing. So what exactly do I mean when I say a passive strategy? Pretty much all the other videos that I've done so far have been what I would call active learning strategies, where you can get some benefit out of them, but you actually have to put conscious effort and work into making the results that you actually want to get happen, rather than just have the learning be somehow magically absorbed into your body just by changing one or two things off the bat and then watching the results come in. A passive strategy is exactly that second option. While most of the time you get more benefit from conscious awareness of what you're doing and really influencing your training by adding something or restricting something in real time, sometimes there are ways to improve how you do things that don't actually take additional effort once you've got them set up. And for me, when I solve, one of the biggest hurdles and obstacles I come up with is around the idea of look ahead, because I know very well that in order to see things better, a lot of the time I actually need to slow down my turning. The problem is, if the cube goes faster, I want to go faster. It takes me an insane amount of mental effort to slow down my turning actively, and even if I can manage to do it, I can usually make it around about 5 to 10 solves before it all goes out the window and I'm just back to moving as quickly as I can possibly go all over again. Now, I've always been really intrigued by something I was told once about Apple when they were trying to design their earbuds. They said that it's really hard to make an earbud that fits every single person's ears. The solution that they came to was pretty clever. They discovered that they didn't need to try and find an earbud that fit every single person's ears. They just needed to find what the two ends of the extreme were. If they could find an earbud that would fit the smallest person's ears and the largest person's ears at the same time, the chances that they would cover every single person's ears in between were far greater than if they tried to work by using something like the average ear size. And that got me thinking with cubing about what are the extremes that I encounter when I'm performing solves on a regular basis. To me, the answer that I came up with was look ahead, where I slow down my turning while I'm inserting an F2L pair, for example. I want to go a little bit slower so that I can see what the next step that's going to come up is. And when I get really good at that, I basically find the fastest possible speed I can turn where I can always see what's coming up next. On the other hand, I've got recognition. In theory, it should be possible to get the same times and the same speeds without any look ahead at all if I just made every single step as fast as I possibly could. And instead of improving look ahead, I just got way better at improving my recognition. So when I finish F2L pair number 1, I'm much faster than anybody else at just looking and figuring out where F2L pair number 2 is from analyzing the cube. So the answer I came up with, probably not going to be a big surprise to anyone. I realized that if I adjusted the tensions on all of my cubes so that they were wildly different, it would make it almost impossible to be constantly turning at my fastest without an insane amount of lockups. This ended up making turning fast actually irritating to me. The faster I went, the more I messed things up, the more I popped pieces, especially when I had loosened off a lot of tension from the cube. And I started to find that in order to get that strong dopamine boost of a good solve, the only way I was managing it was by slowing down quite considerably. And then when I applied Apple's theory of just working to the extremes to the mix, this is basically the result that I came up with. I realized that I don't necessarily need different tensions all the time. All I need is a cube that turns really, really well and a cube that really, really doesn't, in order to see myself get the benefits of both worlds. For anyone interested, these are the two cubes that I ended up choosing. You'll see this one on a lot of my videos. This is a Yushin Kailin V2M. It's the one that I actually main in competitions, not because I'm faster with it, but just because I really love how it looks. I'm pretty old school. Like I said, I've been cubing 14 years. I would way rather cube with stickers than with stickerless cubes, just because of how they look, and I just kind of prefer that vibe. The Yushin Kailin, on the other hand, doesn't have stickers, but it does have tiles. So it's basically stickers that never start to peel off, and that's really, really useful when it comes to solving blind events like multi-blinds, where if you have too much wear on your stickers, you're not going to be allowed to submit it. So if you've ever used one, the Yushin Kailin really doesn't turn massively well. I have loosened the tensions to literally as far as they can go without pieces popping and corners twisting all the time, and then applied some lube that is supposed to make it slow down. I think it does. It definitely makes it smell nice. So that's at the Lookahead end of the scale. On the recognition side of the scale, I've got this one. I don't know what cube this one is. It says Diane on it. I kind of picked this one up at the UK Championships last year because I submitted all my 3x3s for multi-blinds and realized then I had 3x3 one-handed coming up, and I just had to panic buy a cube, ask them for one that was fast and cheap, and that's what I got. I don't particularly like it because, as I already mentioned, I don't really like stickerless cubes, but they were not lying. It is fast and it is cheap and it is controlled really, really nicely. Because I use the Yushin Kailin as my main cube and I kind of train with it all the time, this one just feels like magic. I don't have to put any effort into my algorithms. I basically just kind of think about roughly what I want the turning to look like, and it just happens. It's really fancy, it's really nice. People are probably laughing at me because there's way better cubes that I could probably be using, but this kind of variation does the trick for me. Literally all I do when I'm doing solves at home, I'll alternate between the super loose and the super controlled, and about 1,000 solves each time just gets me into that kind of headspace and zone. What I have been finding is both times are starting to drop consistently. For the last maybe 5 or 6 months, that's been a steady pattern, which is quite pleasing to see, because I hit a plateau with my 3x3 solving of about 13 seconds for quite a while, and now it's starting to look like this one, the Kailins, I'm seeing that average drop below 12. Whether or not I can get it in the competition is another story. And then the final thing I'd mention is I've got this little 4x4 here because I find that this is really helping me with controlling my turns as well. I'm not totally sure what cube this is. I think it's a Shengsho Mr. M or something like that. Again, it was just me on a mission to find cheap cubes with stickers that would turn relatively fast. This one I've also loosened off by quite a lot, and that has presented itself with a lot of issues if I try to turn in any way smoothly. So this 4x4 for me right now, the only way I can get it to work is with incredibly robotic turning and trying to make it as fast as I can possibly go. If I start trying to smooth the turning out, pieces pop, the entire cube explodes, and yeah, stuff goes everywhere. And I am noticing that the faster I get at my kind of robotic style of turning on the 4x4, it does seem to be translating to being able to have more control on the Kailin. And that's kind of all I got to say for this one. So this is something, you know, you might have tried it already. Let me know if you have, what your results have been. It's something that I would recommend trying out. I don't know if this type of solving is going to be the best for every single person. I just feel like it works well for me. So unlike other videos where I have much stronger opinions about when this will work and when it won't work, I've kind of seen in multiple sports a lot of variation in the kinds of people who end up being the top of their class. I've known jugglers who attribute them being really amazing at juggling specifically to the fact that they only ever bought one set of equipment and they've used that since they were a kid. I've seen musicians, guitar players especially, who the longer they kept their very, very cheap guitar, the better they got, because they had to become more proficient at using something that wasn't very good, and then when they switched to something faster, it made the whole world of difference. And then I have seen people who literally change the sports equipment they use, whether it's like a bow and arrow or just gloves that they use or something like that, every single day, because what they actually want to get good at is adapting to new circumstances, and they swear by it. And some of those guys have won Olympic medals, so I'm not going to try and contradict them in this video. That being said, I definitely think this is worth testing out. If you haven't looked at something like this already, give it a go, see what happens. See what happens if you change up the tensions in your cubes, whether it's on a daily basis, monthly basis, or just every so often, and just find out, do you actually learn anything about your solves by limiting your abilities in certain ways? So let's leave it there. That's about all I got to say on the subject for this week. Please feel free to leave me your comments. If you have any stuff you would like me to cover in the future, do let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.